Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us. I'm Meteorologist Katie, as you all know, and with me are some fantastic people who are going to be doing this rewatch of Twister with me. I'll let them introduce themselves, but let's start out with Troy. There we go. That's where my hands are pointing.
Hi, I'm Troy. You guys know me. I go by the Klingon Cleric on another channel, but today it's just Troy. And hi, everyone.
All right. Then we have below you over there, Nanette is how I pronounce it?
Yep. Hi, how you guys doing today? I've had a lot of people say they wanted to see what I actually look like, not just my avatar, so here I am. Welcome, everyone.
Awesome. And of course, my co-spirit animal, Big Al, right below me.
Hi, everyone. Big Al from Big Al Presents, and also known as Professor Geek's trusty TA.
Awesome. Yes, I'm so glad you guys reached out and wanted to do this because I from what I've seen, there's not been a lot of people who have seen Twister with the meteorologist. So this is going to be good.
Yeah,
Oh, go ahead.
I'm looking forward to some meteorological smackdown being laid on us.
Now, actually, this is actually kind of an interesting little trivia thing. Back in 1996, when the movie was first airing, I had read a news article about the movie coming out. It was like one of those, movie critics had gone to see it and wrote up the article. It's, started to get everyone hyped on it. And it mentioned that one of our Chicago meteorologists had a bit part in it. So I contacted him. His name was Brent Miller. And I asked him if he wanted to be there for our opening night so that he could, tell people about tornadoes, if they had any questions, and just kind of do a meet and greet. So he showed up for that. And I thought it was really kind of cool. So I have watched it with the meteorologist before, just no commentary.
That is so awesome. Yeah, I figure if you watch it with a meteorologist, you kind of think, oh, wow, oh, you're just going to ruin this for me, which hopefully I won't. Hopefully, I mean, with all of our comments mixed together, it'll just be a real fun rewatch with a little bit of meteorological ripping in there.
No, actually, I want to hear all of it. It's like, okay, can something like that really happen? Or, is that possible? Or, that really can happen?
Oh,
wow,
yeah.
that's, amazing. I mean, I want to hear all of it. I'm one of those people that want to know.
Oh, good. So for anyone watching, warning, I think we're going to lean more to the shredding side of it. We'll do like an EF4 version, just a little more on the salty side. I have a notepad. I will be keeping track of how many times they should have died. I haven't done this before, but having spent probably around 44 days out in the Great Plains chasing storms, I can tell you when that would probably happen. And yes, for anyone who's new, I am a degreed meteorologist. I do have a baby face. I have gone through college.
I don't know if you've seen any of our rewatches, but usually one of us tends to be something of a subject matter expert and can just go through the trivia and so forth. In fact, even though Professor Geek does not like horror movies, he was fired up to be part of a rewatch of Hellraiser with me because I just know so much about it and was able to go into all kinds of minutia, comparison to the original novella and so on and so forth, behind the scenes and whatnot. And so we were thinking, if anyone's going to be a subject matter expert on Twister,
the very geeky meteorologist is on hand.
Exactly. So no, it doesn't ruin it for this crowd. It's a rewatch. We're going to enjoy the movie, but we do enjoy those. No, that's just not realistic. Or yeah, I know that seems realistic, but that's really the way it happens. Those kinds of details are awesome.
Oh, you guys are in for a treat. And oh yes, one more note before we get started. If you guys see me looking down, I'm actually checking my phone because we have a tornado threat out here.
Yep.
And I'm really, really praying that my job doesn't call me. And we moved it to an earlier time. Hopefully that wasn't an issue for anyone. But yeah, we're keeping an eye out. For the most part, it's going to be damaging wind and hail, which yay. But also gotta keep an eye out for the twisters. So right now they're
just damaging wind and hail.
Yeah, nothing big,
Yeah.
At the moment, they're around 250 miles to my west, so let's give it a shot.
If you have to leave in the middle of the stream, go ahead and do that. I think that would be just an epic way for you to end the stream. I gotta go. There's a real twister I gotta go chase.
Oh, heck, if that happens, I'm taking you guys with me. You're hopping in my car.
That would be awesome.
Cool.
I see viral video all over it.
Absolutely. Becomes a car video from the road.
Well, awesome. I could just pop the Twister DVD and a portable DVD player. Like, okay, guys, let's compare.
Exactly.
Timestamp.
Yeah, exactly.
Pop a little Van Halen.
Oh my
God. Shine on. Sorry.
All right. Well, shall we begin? We have them all queued up, all synced up. Yep. I'll give a 3, 2, 1 click, and on the click, you can press play.
Why don't we say hello to the people in the chat first?
Oh,
that is a really good idea because I'm new to this whole. Yeah, for those of you guys who have seen the channel, there's not a lot of videos on it yet. But Bob Bird of Prey here. Thank you for joining, Mr. Matchstick. You got Jeff Franklin. That's a name I recognize right there. Let's see, Joseph Petrick. We got Lady Q. Hello there. Oh my gosh, we have so many people already. You guys are awesome. Evelyn Hampton.
Yep.
Oh, this is going to be great, guys. And yeah, keep commenting all throughout. If you have any questions, any just general questions or weather questions, I'm happy to answer them. I genuinely am happy to answer them.
And we did mention where we're starting on the film for them, right? So they can watch along.
Yes, we're starting on the film. You guys can watch along. We'll do the 3, 2, 1 click, and on click you can press play. Or if you don't have a copy of it, I mean, you could always just rewatch it later while watching it also now. Mm-hmm. You never know. It's going to be pretty easy to follow. It's very distinct scenes out there. You'll know what we're talking about. Let's see. Yeah. Casey Scott joined in. Pflugerville. I think I'm pronouncing that right.
Pflugerville. I love that.
That's an awesome name. Pflugerville.
I also see Julie Whitefeathers here, and she said friends there as well. I saw Daniel Heron and the.
I would love to live in a town called Pflugerville. I think that'd be awesome.
That would be great. Oh, and I do also have my meteorology cat Radar watching next to me.
I love
it. He enjoys these movies as well. He's more of a Whovian cat, but he'll still enjoy this. Alrighty.
Nice. If you get a second cat, it needs to be Doppler.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's gonna happen. Just need a little more space, but you never know. All right, so we have it all synced up. Got my remote. Ready, everyone? In 3, 2, 1, click.
Hey,
well, first off, you see clouds.
Joined.
Ooh.
Want to say
Time Warner Entertainment.
I see Bird of Prey. I see Julie and Fran. I see Evelyn. Kapla. And you should definitely check out Katie's channel because she does do a weather report from Kronos.
Oh, that's a fun one. I'm hoping to redo some more stuff.
Yeah, that's right. That was a good one. Got to go to Riza.
Oh, heck yes. This one, when it starts the movie, I always, it's a little unsettling. You start out in the clouds, blah, blah, blah. But if you look at the clouds in the background, it says June 1969. Those clouds aren't storm clouds. Those are just stratus clouds. Yep. Then it totally changes to cumulus and cumulonimbus clouds, which are the storm clouds. So the background clouds, I'm just going to put it out to begin with. They are not consistent throughout the movie. And I can sin each and every time that happens, but I won't.
Does that draw you out of a movie when you see that?
Every time there's weather in a movie. It totally does, because the continuity, getting clouds in the background, it just drives me nuts.
Yeah. Yeah. I get that.
Oh my gosh, the chickens in the front yard. Now, okay, so on the TV, it says tornado warning. They actually issued tornado alerts. They didn't have tornado warnings. And at one point in history, using the word tornado was actually illegal because it was thought that it would cause a mass panic. So we've moved quite a bit forward since we started forecasting for tornadoes. But yeah, they weren't tornado warnings, they were tornado alerts.
Kind of like yelling fire in a crowded theater.
Yeah, exactly. Yep, that was the same mentality. And of course, you have to have a dog that looks like Toto. That's required for any weather movie.
Well, that makes sense.
and a very young Alexa Vega from Spy Kids.
Yes. Will there be sharks? There will not be sharks.
I don't recognize her with blonde hair.
is weird. Also, I love how he was just calmly drinking coffee when they said tornado warning on the TV, and now he's just like, oh, come on, Joe, let's go. And they just leave the dog. I don't know a single dog owner who would grab a dog or wouldn't grab a dog if there was a tornado warning.
Or just say, come on. Oh, there goes the dog. He's going along.
You can't leave your fur baby behind.
Right.
I grabbed my goldfish when we had tornado warnings back when I was little. Oh, let's see. Yeah, and you got the storm shelter. There's actually, that lightning doesn't do quite that much to the tree. When lightning strikes a tree, there are a few sparks, especially if it's close to a metal structure, but I mean, wood isn't a conductor, so. More of a bright light.
I definitely know what a lightning strike looks like when it hits right near you. It takes a few minutes to get your senses back because all your nerves get jangled.
Oh, the movie Geostorm. Don't even get me started on that one. Let's see. Lady Q. Oh, of course. Yeah, the dog Toby. I always forget the dog's name. This part bugs the living daylights out of me and everyone I watch this with usually, because if he had just stood back with the mom and Joe, he would have been completely fine. But no, he's going to hold on to you. Who uses a bathroom stall latch to keep their storm shelter door? You just, oh gosh. Yeah, no, it just.
But yeah, I always thought that too. I was like, dude, let go of the door and go back, stand behind the wall. You'll be fine.
Yeah. It's not gonna, the thing with tornadoes, like people think it's like a vacuum hose where it'll suck you out. It's actually more of those winds circling around, kicking up debris. Most people in tornadoes, they don't die because they fly off into them. They die because of debris and other things falling on them. So if you're back a bit, if you're in a hole, you're gonna be okay. Oh gosh. Yeah, it's like everything's still really nice and neat on the shelves. The pepper doesn't fall off. The radio's still there. Oh my gosh. I did like that transition though when I first watched the movie. I was like, that's new. It actually has some really good stuff to it. But also, how long were they in that storm shelter? Because it was night and now it's sunrise.
The tractor in the tree.
Oh, yeah. Goes 8. We're on Goes 17 now. That's how much we've advanced.
And the Goes 8, the thing that's pointed towards the audience is supposed to be pointed at Earth. It's not supposed. It doesn't point that way. I remember reading something about that.
Oh my gosh. Now,
were you part of the little tribute to Bill Paxton when he passed? That made the BP.
I wish I was. I wish I could have been. Now this is
that looked cool. That looked cool.
Oh, it was awesome. Every meteorologist was weeping at that. But the words that they're saying here, like the lifted index, the CAPE, those are actual terms that we use. CAPE is convective available potential energy and all that stuff. We actually use that. And we were talking about it earlier today because it tells you how strong a storm's going to be. Did you get a timestamp? I don't have a timestamp, but we're just coming up on the car moving down the road.
I'm at 6 minutes, just right there.
Yeah,
6:01, 6:02.
There's the plane with the crop dusting. That's actually happened to us before. We had to real quick roll up our windows because we were on the middle of a nowhere road and we just see chemicals coming at us.
Yep.
Oh boy.
I'm also amazed by just how tornado tough some of these vehicles seem to be during this film.
Oh my gosh. Look at some of these cars. Oh yeah, go for it.
Sorry. Fun fact about Jamie Gertz. I actually knew her dad. I used to work at the Improv Comedy Club many years ago. And the reason she got this role is because Daddy got it for her, because really she can't act. And it went so far as that while the movie itself got some really great awards, she got what's called a Razzie for her really horrible performance.
Ooh. Yeah. But see, I kind of like her as that kind of, what's a tornado sort of thing, because that's just, it's one of those rolling laughing things that all meteorologists kind of look at and go, normal people.
One bit of trivia though, Jamie Gertz, her first acting experience was in school, and she played Dorothy in The Wizard of Oz.
Oh, that's ironic.
Mhm.
Okay.
One thing.
Oh, sorry, but she says look at the mid-levels for rotation. You look at the mid-levels for rotation when it's like supercell. If you're looking for tornadoes, you look at the low level because you're going to get tornadoes in the lowest levels. And also, if there was a storm that well formed, they better be booking it towards it. They would not be sitting out there watching music videos with sunny skies. But you were saying,
when the red truck showed up for the first time and everyone and we were zooming in on it, the way they got that shot was obviously with a helicopter, and you could totally see the helicopter reflected in the panel, the side panel of the truck.
Oh yeah. Oh yes, Melissa Harris. It's not coming towards South Carolina today.
Yeah. I always love the actors who are considered for roles, before someone actually got it. Some of the ones that were considered for Bill were Tom Hanks, who actually had been reading for the role, and then something happened. Ooh. But
I didn't know he was reading for it.
Yeah, he actually was cast at one point in the development, and Laura Dern had read for Joe's role.
Wow! Oh, that would be a completely different movie.
Yeah, and I think the opposite is also. I think Helen Hunt had read for the role in Jurassic Park.
Oh no, you gotta have Bill. I could not see anyone else playing it except for Bill Paxton.
Yeah, there's several names. Kurt Russell, Michael Keaton were also considered possible. I love IMDb. That's where you get all the cool information.
Oh yeah. Now he's holding up right there a cup and vein anemometer. So that's actually a tool that we use. Just a really blocky, horrible version. Ours are much more streamlined now. We even there's one piece of tech called a Kestrel that can get dew point temperature, elevation, wind, all of that in one go. So we've condensed all of the tech that you see into like maybe 4 or 5 things now.
So it's basically a tricorder.
It really is. It's a weather tricorder.
Well, 24 years. I mean, it does makes a lot of difference in the tech world.
Yeah, no, it's incredible how much, like that laptop right there. It just,
it's actually not even a laptop.
1996.
It's actually not even a laptop. They were like these weird LCD screens that they the prop department made to look like laptops. They were non-functional. All the stuff that pops up on screen is CGI added after the fact.
Oh my gosh.
Well, that actually makes sense because you wouldn't be able to catch it on camera if it was a regular LCD screen.
Yeah, true. It's ironic though that this movie came out in 1996 and that's the year I was born. It was just meant to be.
You were born in a Twister summer.
Yeah.
or winter or whatever. I don't know when your birthday is.
It's a strong winter. It's November, so it was right in that transition period. Let's see. They show that giant cloud. There's sunshine. They couldn't even add in clouds. And of course, cows. Keep a cow counter.
Well, consider also what the level of CG was back then. I'm not sure how well they could have altered the sky and made it look realistic too. So
they did do a good job with the tornadoes in this movie. I'll give them that. I was really impressed with how it looked.
Jan de Bont said at one point, I believe when I was looking up on the movie, said he wanted to do the movie at this point because he knew CGI was becoming so popular that the more practical effects were going to start falling by the wayside. So that's why he wanted to do a big effects-laden film at that point. So
there's a practical effect. Oh, go ahead.
Oh no, I was done.
Oh no, there's a practical effect at the end of the movie. Well, not the end. It's like towards the end. That just hurts. It's the hail. Well, you'll hear it you'll know when you hear it. Casey Scott, thanks for joining us while you could. Hopefully you'll enjoy the rewatch of our rewatch. Yeah, this is always fun because I watch this movie with my meteorology friends, and Melissa is just the quintessential normal person. You take any meteorologist and put more than one of us in a room, you're going to actually get some interesting talk. Oh, this part where they're talking about how he's a weatherman. It'll also come up again. It's sometimes in the meteorology community, broadcast meteorologists are thought of as lesser meteorologists by very few, but there are some out there, and you'll see that reflected in the movie when they're like, "I love your weather reports." Like that kind of shows through.
Yeah.
I was told at a meteorology conference that I wasn't an actual meteorologist. I'm like, I have 4 years of debt to prove you otherwise.
Just because I have a face for TV, don't hold it against me.
Exactly. Man, I miss Bill Paxton.
God, he was so... he was one of my favorite actors.
Yeah, I know I'm going to hell because when he died, my post was, game over, man. Game over.
Oh my God.
Well, yeah, I mean, that just wrote itself. I mean,
and if you guys want to see some really fun weather forecasts, Katie's got some on her channel that she does at Star Trek. They're really cool.
Yes.
Yeah,
Oh,
those are fun. Those are fun.
I'm hoping to get more in here soon. It's just everything's so screwy with COVID and stuff. It's see,
yeah.
Joseph, there's a computer with Windows 3.1. Oh, that's gotta hurt. Yeah, guys, keep on the chat. I love hearing all your guys' opinions on the movie. If you have comments on it too, let us know.
So I do have a question.
Yeah.
So this unit, this Dorothy unit that they're, is supposed to be so cutting edge for them. Anything to it? I mean, I'm sure there must be something that's happened in the real world that's similar, and we're probably beyond this by now. Am I right?
Yeah. Well, nowadays people are trying to work with drones and flying them into tornadoes. People are using rockets, which there's a video I'll try and post on social media later. It's just a fail. But there's a well-known tornado researcher. He wasn't a meteorologist, Tim Samaras, and he was actually killed by the El Reno tornado back in Oklahoma a few years ago. He had these turtle pods, which were just little red squished cones about maybe this tall and very wide. He would get in the path of a tornado, drop it. It had cameras, it had sensors and all this, and the tornado would go right over it. He'd pick up the tornado sensor and they'd get all the data. And he was brilliant. He wasn't a meteorologist, he was an engineer. He was just one of the safest storm chasers, and he was killed by the strongest tornado we've seen probably in the decade.
Wow. But yeah, trivia on that machine, like the first name or whatever. It wasn't Dorothy, it was called something else. You're telling me about earlier.
Oh, you're talking to me? No, yeah. My understanding was that obviously Dorothy is clearly the reference to the Twister and the Wizard of Oz, but I understand that Toto is actually an acronym that's used in the field. Is that right, Katie?
Oh, Toto. I'm not familiar with it, but It depends on where you go. Some schools, like the University of Oklahoma, Penn State, they have like their own different like terminology and stuff.
Gotcha.
So it really depends. But we share a lot of lingo. We have there's actually a part of the tornado called the ghost train, which is the trail of not smoke but dust that comes in behind a tornado on ground level. And it was an old myth before we understood tornadoes that was the train of souls who the tornado had scooped up. Wow. And it's really creepy.
I love that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I love creepy folklore like that.
Yeah, so you got the ghost train, you have a beaver tail, you got an inflow notch, you have a B-weir, which is just means that the radar is acting up. Oh, this part. You just see that there are they have all four Dorothys in all four of their cars. They aren't back at base or anything. They're all with them. Remember that for the movie theater scene or the outdoor movie theater scene. I will be bringing it up. But yeah. And it does get that hectic though when you start to see, okay, there's something happening. You decide, okay, we're going here, get in the car. And with the groups that I chase with, there were probably 20, 25 of us. all just jumping into these rented white vans. It must have been a sight to see.
It always amazes me the one they have the camper on the back. That's like wobbling every time they hit a thing. It's like I would not want to be riding in that thing during
No way.
a tornado chase. Be a little wind. Not exactly wind friendly.
Yeah, no way. I mean, we drove a Ram on my storm chase, and that thing felt the wind too. Also, why are they? I made two of my professors almost pee laughing with that Jonas, son of a bitch, because we do meteorology Jeopardy at the end of each semester, and they're like, "Can anyone tell me Jonas's last name?" And of course, I say, "Son of a bitch," and they it's great, absolutely great. It's those little things in life. But also, they're all driving black cars with no logos on it. Like, well, there's a little car logo, but like if you had a corporate sponsor, you would have that smacked on your car. Oh, you know when Oklahoma's driving past you or Penn State's driving past you.
I think they're black ops or something, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Well, then you start getting the chemtrails and the government seeding, controlling the weather, and that's always fun to look into too. Oh, this part too. The dirt road. You can see that there's like, it's a bit damp. The second you get on one of those Oklahoma dirt roads, I mean, the mud and clay, you're going to get sucked into it. So we actually have a rule on our storm chases. You cannot go on a dirt road if it's raining because you could just get stuck and then you're screwed.
Wow, yeah.
And he can't change the tire by himself. Any good meteorologist who chases should know how to change a tire.
Unless he didn't have a spare.
Well, I think
didn't he just roll it out?
Yeah, that was a spare.
Oh, this whole thing with you're stealing my idea. If anyone's familiar with the show Storm Chasers, you have the Dominator and the Tiv, which are both like armored storm chasing tornado punching vehicles.
Yeah.
That's all.
I've seen the Tiv. Like,
cool.
Because when I was in, I like he doesn't punch him; just slaps his hat off.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll show you.
Dorothy, you stole my idea. Like, well,
which is funny because knocking the hat off is still assault. So,
yeah,
it's still the same charge.
Yeah,
he is the dread pirate.
Go for the gold. Yeah. Oh, yeah, but you'll see here. He's like, I love your weather reports, by the way, because he thinks he's a holier than thou researcher. Which not all researchers, actually, many researchers are very nice and polite. We talk to them when you drive past them on the road. And actually, this sort of meetup thing at the gas station or food stations in these little towns happen all the time. We were at a gas station, I think it was in Kansas last year. Might have been Texas. It all blurs together. And there was probably 50 chasers. We were all just standing out in the parking lot like, where do you think you're going? Where are you going? I don't know. Yeah, I really enjoy your weather reports. See, at that point, if I would go for him. I would hardcore just... And every other meteorologist behind them, if you're good friends with them, would go after him too.
Yeah, I can see Katie going all spider monkey on the guy.
And nobody holding her back; they just join in.
Yes, exactly.
That way, you do the Godzilla thing. Let them fight.
Just smack down in the middle of the road. I think that small little set there with you have a car shop, you have a diner, and a few different houses. There's a town. I can't remember where. I think it's in Nebraska. But there's a town with like maybe 12 people in it. It's impressively small. I love it so much. Oh, and that is not, oh, that cloud is wrong. That is wrong.
Hold her back.
Well, you see that little cloud underneath the big cloud that's kind of wispy and light? A lot of people mistake those for funnels, but they're actually called scud. And it's basically the clouds sucking in air. And if the air is moist enough, when it gets sucked into the storm, it forms these little baby clouds, which get ingested. And so we kind of think of it as Pac-Man eating the dots. The more dots you have, the larger the storm is going to be going and all that stuff.
Yeah, I hear he filmed a lot more. There's more to his part, but he kind of got a lot cut out. Just didn't fit into the narrative.
I wish that they would release everything that they filmed.
See, we want the DeBont cut. This is what the special cut we want. We don't need the Snyder cut of Justice League. We want the special cut of Twister.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. And of course, the barbecue restaurant. Some great barbecue.
I gotta say, there's got to be good barbecue where you guys roaming around out there.
Oh yeah, there's a place that has Longhorn burgers, and they have Longhorn cows and everything. I mean, they are this big. They're served in a saucer.
Oh man!
Sometimes you don't even care.
You just picked up a handful of dirt and then dropped it slowly. Is there anything to that, or is it just for dramatic effect?
Yeah. Well, actually, what you can do is you can scoop it up, and if you're looking at the storm and the wind's flowing into the storm, it's called inflow. And you always look for a growing storm to have inflow. A dying storm has outflow, so the wind's going to be going away from you. So if the dirt is being picked up and going towards the storm, it means it's got a healthy updraft.
Huh. Good to know.
Let's see.
I did not know. I always thought it was dramatic effect. That's cool. I did not know that was.
Yeah, the part where he's like, your days of sniffing the dirt are over, or something like that. It's like, actually, no, you can tell a lot from the dirt and the plants and the cows. Oh, the cows are brilliant. You can always tell when there's a bad storm because the cows all lay down. Oh, Joseph, yes, yep, I'm a meteorologist in Sioux City, Iowa. So we're waiting for our tornado season to start so I can actually do this stuff. Now, at least they got this part right where the cloud is built, but not within the 5 seconds between his dirt falling from his hand and him standing up.
I get Dusty there. If I read correctly, before he was considered for the role, Garth Brooks was.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, dang. Okay. Oh, and now the clouds are back to normal. Not as ominous.
Yeah, actually now it's sunny again. For the most part.
Or that he was saying that the clouds were turning green. Is that actually something?
Yeah, you get green clouds or even a little bit of a blue hue to them when there's a decent amount of hail. The hail way up in the cloud disperses the light and it gives it this eerie green color. So if you look at a really nice storm, a stacked storm that has like a bit of rotation motion to it, you'll oftentimes see in between the little plate layers that there's a green layer, and that's the core of the storm with hail.
I always find it sad. I really like the actor Abraham Ben Ruby, and he's in it for like all of 3 seconds in the background. That's another one that's got to be some stuff cut on the floor somewhere.
Oh yeah. I gotta see these deleted scenes because they filmed a whole bunch of extra scenes in Waukeeta. Like they actually filmed in Waukeeta, Oklahoma, the town, and half the stuff got cut. I want to see that. Also, they went from flat to hilly to flat to hilly. Pick a state.
I'm gonna say, are they in Ohio? Because my mother-in-law has driven me on roads like that where it's flat then hilly, then flat then hilly.
Oh yeah, and the one thing you also want to look for. Oh, also fun fact: it's illegal to play music over a handheld radio. Yeah, keep that in mind. That rule. But the Twister suite, we actually, I mean, that's a mandatory song to play when you head out on a chase. You have that, the Jurassic Park theme, the Avengers theme. I'm pretty sure there's How to Train Your Dragon theme. You have a whole Storm Chase playlist. I should release that sometime because mine's jamming. It even has a German metal polka song.
I can say I could see that actually being a commercial. Something that would be really cool commercially.
Oh yeah,
the storm chasing mixed.
Oh, I should put up a Spotify playlist and just be like, there you go, and it's sunny again. I told myself I wouldn't mention it. Now, the modest clouds, a lot of people, they kind of look like bubble wrap on the back end of the cloud. That's just cold air diving south out of the storm. Once you have an updraft, it pushes that wind so high up, it cools, and it has to fall back down. So that's just little bubbles by the clouds, which shows that there's a strong updraft, which you need for a tornado. Yeah. Also, Julie has a great point there. Her phone would not have coverage. It's 2020. I don't have coverage. You would not be talking on the phone, especially near big storms, because the hail in the storms, and if you have debris with tornadoes, you would not get a signal at all. At all. I also like that they have goggles attached to the back of the window, because, like I said, I have a cranium cradle, which is what I call my hard hat, that I go out and stand in the hail with. So,
oh, cool.
Get inventive. Yep, it's currently on my wall. I'm hoping to use it today. Just don't tell my work. Oh, and when I was looking at the description of this on, I think it was IMDb. I'm pretty sure I can pull it up. The exact description for the movie, if you just look at it, it says, Bill and Joe Harding, advanced storm chasers on the brink of divorce, must join together to create an advanced warning alert system by putting themselves in the crosshairs of extremely violent tornadoes.
What movie is that?
Their divorce doesn't even count. I mean, it's a little fraction of the movie. And from the second that they start talking that they're going to end up together. Like, no.
Yeah, they had a great chemistry together in this film.
Oh my gosh, yeah. That's like, you put in any other actor for that, it would not have worked.
No.
Yeah, it's the chemistry between the actors. If they don't have it, the movie's just not going to work.
Yeah. I love Bill. I am happy. I'm a happy person. I'm happy with the way things are going in my life. I keep telling yourself that. I'm just kidding.
Melissa. I know her name.
See, and I mean, I have this movie entirely memorized. Also, there's no wall cloud there. There's no wall cloud. It's just a tornado dropping from the... If there's anyone who works in Hollywood who's watching this stream at any point in time, please hire a meteorologist for any sort of film, because we know that
Joseph Petrick. Joseph Petrick thinks you should put your hat on now.
Oh, it'll take me 5 seconds. I'll be right back.
Joseph wants you to put your hat on now.
Yeah, that's where she went.
Oh, an Orville Nation is joined us.
Sound engraver in the house. Just saw her name pop up.
Yep, saw that one too.
Engraver.
Cranium cradle.
I love it.
Sweet.
A dirt cheap hard hat.
I thought about getting one of those just for fun, like with a thing across the face.
Oh yeah.
And then wear the mask underneath, go for it. Go for the whole full protective effect.
Yeah. There you go. Make sure your head works, and that's actually the thing with storm chasing is I'm always worried about like getting hit in the head with something. Yeah, no, see with that cloud, with tornadoes, like 99% of the time, you're going to have a wall cloud with it, which is just a lowering below the lowest point of the cloud. And that's when the tornadoes, it shows the rotation, the tornado comes out of that. It just bothers me that they didn't even add the most people know this, that it's a well-known fact, and they didn't add it in. And you are not going 75 in a dirt rut.
Yeah, every time I watch this movie, I see this movie all the time because I love it. I go, why the heck did he get off the road? I mean, I know it's like, God, the testosterone is flowing and he just loses his mind.
I was like, they're paralleling each other. Just stay on the road.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh. Yeah. The funnel's getting thicker. No, it's not. Plus, a small tornado like that's the width of a car would not completely demolish a barn. Like, size doesn't necessarily describe wind speed in tornadoes, but a little baby finger like that's not doing anything. Oh my god, this part bothers me too, because you guys probably have seen like that classic Moore, Oklahoma, 1999, people hiding up underneath an overpass to stay safe from the tornado. For the love of Spock, don't ever do that. because it is one of the worst places you can be. If you can get underground to the lowest point you can, or in like a ditch, because it's the winds that are kicking up the debris, it still can get to you underneath an overpass. In fact, it's going to work like a wind tunnel. And it's just, meteorologists have been trying to fight that for years. Plus, why didn't they activate Dorothy before? Why didn't they?
Yeah, well, it should have been activated while they were driving.
Yeah, it bothers me.
A serious design flaw, I've always thought. It's like you should just be able to go click and have it on, and the next time it gets sucked up, you got your data.
Yeah. I mean, were batteries that bad in 1996? Like, I think it would last for the entire day of storm chasing. Oh, I don't know why this just reminded me of it, but yeah, Toto, you were mentioning that, Troy. That was the name of one of the weather experiments, the field studies that they've done. They worked with the Toto project. How did I forget that?
I think that's what I was referring to.
Bad meteorologist. This part always bothers me. Like, it's going to be lifting up the roof and all that stuff, and it's not going to if it's that tiny of a tornado, and it would have already passed by now. If you do like a speed tracking thing from earlier, it would have. Yeah.
Well, there goes the truck and the tractor.
Nah. And then of course it's just like it's gone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a fast tornado to be that fast.
They would be cut to pieces. You get even like straw or corn stalk or anything like that, you're going to be bleeding everywhere. So that's why being under an overpass is a horrible place to be in a tornado. And it would not have gone that far up in the air that it would have had that kind of hang time.
Where's my truck?
There it is.
So I did.
That was a nice truck too.
I did like earlier on. I saw that Julie Whitefeather had called them out for how are they talking on radios when they're not even holding down the key. It's like leave it to the engineer to point out those little technical.
That's a good
things.
point. And of course, like you'd be walking all the time, you'd just be talking over each other. That's a realistic part of storm chasing. Is one of you will find new data at the same time someone else finds something, and you'll end up just squawking and walking, and no one hears a thing. That's why you have text messages.
I thought it was ironic because I'm over here talking and I was on mute, so you didn't hear me saying, "Say hi to PJ."
Yes,
he's in the house.
PJ. PJ.
It looks like somebody wrecked one of those supermarket quarter toy machines.
Right?
Yeah.
You get the little balls with the you get like the.
Oh,
I love those when I was a kid.
With this, like they're so circular. I mean, you choose the most aerodynamic design to get sucked up into a storm by the wind. You think they would have made it not a cube, but something a little more wind catchy, like later on. Spoiler.
Yeah. Well, I know a sphere, like in a vacuum, is the most aerodynamic or something like that. But yeah, when you're dealing with gravity and wind shear and all the other stuff.
Well, they had to do something so that they'd be able to correct it later on when they came up with their brilliant idea.
Yeah. That's one of those things you workshop. You built 4 of these. You should have figured this out.
Right.
Also, the fact that the car has liability only. Now.
Thank you. That has bugged me every time I watch this film. You don't have a new truck and only have liability.
Yeah, no way. Just, this is one of those lines like, don't even think about it. No way. When you're watching it with a group of meteorologists, we will all sing in a chorus that line. There's some at this movie. We will just, it's hilarious. Like earlier when they roll the map.
It's your Rocky Horror.
It is. It truly is. We have our own commentary that's specific to each point. There are props we could use. Oh, y'all have no idea. And we don't call it the battle zone. We don't call it that. At most, we call it the triple point, which is where the warm front, the cold front, and the occluded front/dry line, if there is one, like they all meet up. The dry line, the warm front, the cold front. So, yeah.
But you can understand why they didn't call it that in the movie, right? Because then they'd have to explain occluded front.
Exactly. Well, the whole reason Melissa's there so they can like break down the techno babble of it.
True.
More cows.
Cows.
There are so many cows when you go chasing. Yeah, I have yet to see one fly. Oh, and it's also very important to drive at the speed limit because we were on a storm. No one tell my professor I'm telling this story because he will hate me for it. We were driving on a storm chase, and one of our cars got separated by the group, and so we had to catch up because there was a tornado coming. And one of our drivers decided it was a good idea to speed a little bit, and almost got us arrested. It was bad. Don't speed.
You're gonna miss the tornado if you get arrested.
Oh, and the tornado house going woo, like it's just walked out of a bar. Like, no. Tornadoes can move and oscillate and stuff, but they aren't going to be like blackout drunk waving all over in the wind.
Now, see that radar? It's supposed to be like a Coke, the Pepsi logo.
It looks like it, doesn't it? No, actually,
that was on purpose because Pepsi was one of the when they're cutting up cans at the end. For the thing,
product is a Pepsi
no
product.
Coke.
Yeah.
It's a Pepsi product.
Mr. Miles. Tornadoes, I mean, they could have dropped a house on a witch sometime. We don't have any record of it yet. If there was one that hit Salem, maybe. Could have worked.
I just think it would have to be a really well-made house to be picked up whole without being torn apart.
There are some houses that just get swept and moved a little bit, but to be thoroughly picked up and dropped back down. No.
Yeah, I'm not sure it would stay structurally sound either.
And you do not pass them on a narrow road like that. That's on a dirt road also. That's how you break a window. We had a jerk of a storm chaser drive past us while we were chasing, and he blew out one of our car windows. And so we had to call off our chase.
I think it'd be I think it would be bad form too. I mean, to kind of like get in the way of another team or to show them up or something.
I like how she's like, "Are you sure?" And then when he outlines his logic, she's like, "You're right. Go."
Yeah. No, turn around, don't drown. You do never drive into a pond because dirt roads, especially, y'all can have a sinkhole under there. You could have it washed out completely. You do not do that. And they would know better too.
And just as someone who knows cars, I mean, you get enough water splashed up underneath that engine block, you're going to follow up those plugs and you're not going anywhere.
Oh, yeah. And PJ, if you're ever out here, I will take you storm chasing. I always tell anyone, if they're ever near Sioux City and there's a tornado, you're hopping in the car with me.
For crying out loud, we got to get PJ back from Spain first.
I know. Oh, boy.
I always thought it would be fun to do a 2-week stint storm chasing.
Oh yeah, just make sure do it with an actual meteorologist,
right?
Because there are some things with like tornado tours and stuff, and they'll take you out into the plains and things. And we were actually that tornado. That was almost in a tornado we were studying. It was an EF4 in Lawrence, Kansas last year. And a storm chase tour got stuck in it, and it rolled their cars. So you want to make sure you have a meteorologist who won't get you too close.
Right.
Yeah, I'm good at if I'm going to see a tornado, I'm good at seeing it from a long distance.
Oh yeah. Oh, and right there they said
closest I want to get to a tornado is a YouTube video.
Yeah. Well, right there they said it's an F2 or F3. The Fujita scale, which is the F for F3 EF now because it's enhanced. That's a damage scale. You only know the strength of a tornado after it's over.
Right.
You can guess based on wind, but you can't say, oh, that is an EF3 or an F3 or something like that. And also, if they're in the rain, they're in a bad spot because the tornado follows the track of the rain most of the time. Or because you're in the wrong spot to view if you're getting rain. You want to be south of the rain. Yeah, no, that whole, you got the windshield wipers going, you are in the core of the storm. You're in a bad spot. You always want to be south or southeast of it. Most tornadoes move off towards the northeast, so you just want to kind of parallel the south end.
Katie, let me ask you this. Now, throughout this movie, we see everyone traveling together, and that's really the way it goes. It's not like, okay, I'm going to get the storm from this section, you go this way, you don't split up?
Yeah, really. No, if you're in a research group, you're sticking together. Even with people who go out to like place pods and stuff, you're going along the same track, so you might as well stick close in case one of you needs help. And this scene hurts so much. They don't just split like that. They don't just split like that. Oh no! Like tornadoes, like large wedge ones, they have multiple ones like dancing around inside themselves with smaller vortices. They don't just go, oh, I'm going to become two. Like, no.
I love Katie's righteous meteorological indignation. Ah!
Exactly. And the cow.
I'm learning so much.
We got cow.
Oh man!
It actually was a zebra.
Yeah,
zebra from Jumanji.
Not have cell phone coverage.
I gotta go. We got cows.
Yeah, at this point, you could not possibly be making a phone call.
No way.
Nope, I think it's the same cow. I love that line.
Troy read the same thing I did. That zebra, it was a zebra used in Jumanji that they then morphed into a cow for this movie.
Oh my gosh. Oh, Sharknadoes actually do happen with this storm since it's over a lake. They could feasibly have had some like frogs or fish sucked up. They commonly get sucked up. They even rain down on towns after the tornadoes. It's happened before. And also, dead. We have our first dead. There's no freaking way that they would converge over that road. All right. So
I would have marked them. I would have marked them dead on the first time they got in
right
under it.
Right. I forgot to record that. Dead.
Yeah, this is dead too.
Dead. Oh my gosh. Yeah, no. And of course, if you have that happen, you are shaking. I was almost struck by lightning on a storm chase, and that was enough to freak me out. If you had 3 tornadoes converge on you at once, you'd be panicking. But also, that there is some merit to that, though. If they were coming in from, theoretically, they wouldn't be. But if you had 2 tornadoes that were coming from different sides and stuff, they could have destructive harmonics where they would just kind of fizzle each other out, or they could be constructive and they could make one bigger one. So they got lucky.
In fairness, you can imagine that Jamie Gertz's character needs to change her shorts now.
When I mentioned I almost got struck by lightning, we had a guy who was close to that lightning bolt who was terrified of lightning to begin with. And we got to our hotel 5 minutes after that, and he went and he puked everywhere.
Oh
it was bad. So, we get a little scared sometimes. No one's peed themselves, but they have puked all over themselves. It's so bad.
That is what tells me that y'all aren't completely insane, you know?
Yeah, we still value our safety. Fear. Oh, and she was talking about, did you guys see that inflow jet? No, it's just inflow, guys. It's just inflow. You don't have to throw fancy other words to the ending. We don't. Waukeeta. It is an actual town. It is right beneath the Kansas-Oklahoma border. It is, without a doubt, one of my favorite towns in America because they actually went and filmed in Waukeeta. They destroyed buildings. They built up front facades. They did everything there. They have a Twister museum where I got my shirt from. And it's just, if you guys ever get the chance, just go out there.
Yeah, I never knew there was a Twister museum until I was reading up for this rewatch. I was like, that is awesome.
Oh, yeah. Oh, Joe, so if you have the northern hemisphere spinning in the same direction as the southern one, you get different kinds of spinning. Kind of like with hurricanes, how they spin in the northern hemisphere is opposite in the southern hemisphere. You get that with storms too. We even get tornadoes that spin in opposite directions here in the northern hemisphere, but like 1% go in the other direction.
Yeah, I remember that came up in an episode of Bones.
Really?
Yeah, there was an episode where they were investigating a tornado, and they found that the tornado that did the damage or whatever was actually one of the ones that's spun opposite that it's supposed to.
Cool. I always love it when they talk weather and get it right.
Oh God, this. Oh
yeah. Oh, the food.
This is food porn, man. Yeah, all that beef and eggs.
I'm literally salivating.
And you never eat that good on a chase. Maybe once or twice you stop at a really nice restaurant after a nice day to celebrate. But yeah, no, you are eating Subway.
That definitely does seem to be implied by the way they're acting here.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Well, that's why they wanted to go to Aunt May's in Waukeeta.
Yeah, and you're telling me she had that steak on hand?
She probably did. I mean, if she lives in a rural area, she could have a whole side of beef.
Oh, he just said it. He goes, "You got a lot of beef." She goes, "Didn't you see my cow?"
No.
Exactly. Yeah.
Mr. Miles asks the difference between cyclones and tornadoes. Usually cyclones we're talking about with like the larger synoptic scale, which is like, continental wide, large weather patterns, whereas tornadoes are very mesoscale, which is small scale in very tiny areas. So cyclones are larger, tornadoes are smaller.
It's like a cyclone, like more comparative to a hurricane, but just a different.
Yeah.
That's what they call it, like in the Indian Ocean or the western part of the Pacific or something.
Yeah, that's their version of hurricanes. But you can also get like different kinds of cyclones in the Pacific and stuff. It's pretty impressive. We have so many different terms. I wish we could get a worldwide consensus on what terms to use. We're getting good. We're getting better. But.
See, just from a linguistic point of view, I always assumed that a cyclone was literally just a generic term for any kind of twisting wind pattern, just given what cyclone means,
Oh, yeah. Yes. And people use it that way, too, like interchangeably, just kind of like you use twister instead of tornado. But cyclone also has another purpose, and it just gets kind of into a gray area. But you say it, we'll accept it.
And I've always assumed, tell me if I'm wrong in this assumption, cyclone is, twister is just a slang term.
It is, yeah. It's just a slang term. The movie made it way more popular. But just twister, I don't know. It has a little pizzazz to it that tornado doesn't. 2 syllables instead of 3 makes all the difference.
Now, I wanted to ask you about, I think we just missed the line where he's talking about the F5 being the finger of God. But they've added an F6, haven't they?
They have not yet.
Oh,
we're always considering the potential that you could have a stronger tornado, but the way that the F or EF scale now works is once you get past an EF5, if you have winds that are in excess of like 300 plus miles an hour, I mean, that is so rare and so hard to find. Even after those kinds of winds, if they're ahead of that 300 mile an hour mark, you won't even know because it's a damage based scale. EF5, there's nothing left. So it's just completely gone.
Yeah, I was reading about there's one tornado that was measured that said if there was officially an EF6, that is what it would be.
It would either be the more 1999. Maybe?
Yeah, it was. I can't remember exactly the date, but it was. I forget where. I don't know if it was Texas or Oklahoma, or somewhere. But it was like the most immensely powerful tornado they had ever. Ever thought to measure, and they said if there was an F6, that was it.
Oh yeah. Well, we always joke about it too, like, oh, this one's like an EF6, EF8. I also hate this part of the movie. She's like, they're an F5, and they all just like kind of stop and stuff. They're like, well, should we?
Yeah, it's like somebody whispered about like, the ghost of whatever.
Exactly, like it's the logical next step. And I mean, even in the 1990s, you could walk up to anyone and probably be like, oh, an F4 tornado, F5 tornado. Like you have to be pretty much a hermit to not know it, right? Like general terminology.
It's like, for God's sake, you're dating a meteorologist.
Yeah, exactly. Like, do you watch his broadcasts?
Nah, she's worried about helping a guy with his penis.
Yeah.
Right. Those are the hobbies that are important.
Yeah.
Oh, and the importance, the when they're all like, oh, I'm going to take a shower. That's actually very important on storm chases because you're spending 18 plus hours in a car running around in like 80% or 80 degree dew points and 100% humidity. Not
to mention the mud that she was running through and the dirt that's been kicked up.
Exactly. Oh,
It's like, not only do you want a shower, I'm sure everybody that is around you wants you to have a shower as well.
But I do want to point out how in every movie, after the girl takes a shower, somehow she miraculously has all of her makeup still.
Yes.
And her hair is bone dry.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. Like Bill's hair, completely dry. No, if you're gonna have tornadoes and it's gonna be humid, no way. It's gonna be more wet. Let's face it.
Yeah. Well, I still think the most famous is from the original Star Wars after they get out of the trash compactor and they're completely clean and hair blow dried.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Also, how do they know where Jonathan is? He's like, oh, they're 30 miles this way. You don't know where the other chasers are back then. Nowadays, we have a storm chaser network sort of thing we can look at where you have individual chaser dots. And you can see where different chasers are and their exact names and their exact locations. And it forms this thing called chaser convergence, which is basically everyone goes to one spot. And that's probably the most dangerous part of storm chasing is the drivers. There's there's a puppy. But there's a great, a horrible example. But the Weather Channel had a chaser, Kelly Williamson, I believe is his name. And they were chasing a storm. They were speeding. They blew through a stop sign and killed an innocent chaser who had the right of way. And so if our professor, he would call off chases if it got too packed. He'd be like, well, it's not worth it, guys. Because you pull off on the side of the road, someone's eyeing a tornado and they end up hitting you. Like there's a lot more chasers out there nowadays. And that is an actual view of the town of Waukeeta. I've seen that water tower. I was horribly sick and did not enjoy a second of it. Yeah, you also have to get the storm plague.
I like in the chat, Mr. Miles is mentioning to someone else like hurricanes, cyclones, and typhoons. Why do meteorologists have to make things harder?
Yeah, no, it's so true. And it's just you have different weather services that are set up. You have the Met Office, which covers England and Europe and stuff, versus the National Weather Service here. Yeah, the Canadian meteorologists. Like, it all just mixes it up.
Yeah, I was telling Katie.
I guess for off-roading, I would not want to be in a station wagon.
Oh, yeah, no. And
that
also
always gets me
trees.
too.
You never, that car. No, you never chase in trees because you lose half of your visual at least. And that's why we don't chase in Missouri or in Tennessee or in Kentucky. We drive out to Kansas because the second you get into trees, the more chances you have of getting hurt. Which is actually getting to be a problem for southern chasers, where they chase in Dixie Alley, which is like Tornado Alley, but for the South. That's in Mississippi, Alabama, Louisiana, Arkansas. It's just so many trees and so many hills, you can't safely chase.
I like the scene when he was miking her up, putting on the pack and stuff, and it's just so rife with sexual tension.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. And that's the whole reason that they did that scene, because they have not been touching the ham radio controller at all.
I saw a video with you, Katie, on your, I think it's your Facebook, when you were measuring snow. It must have been early in the morning. And I was fascinated that you had, I guess it was your mic pack around your leg.
Oh yeah. Yep.
I was like, what is that? Oh, cool. That's a mic pack.
We have people come into the studio and I think they think that I have like a home arrest tether on, but it's what weightlifters use. It's that little Velcro thing you put right under your kneecap, and it's easier than strapping it onto the back of your bra or onto a slip or something like that. So it works.
Yeah. Katie, Joseph Patrick is asking, is there a scientific reason for chasing twisters, or are you just doing it for fun? Is there something more to learn at this point?
Actually, yeah, no, nowadays you have a mix of meteorologists who are in for the science and people who are in it for the pictures and the adrenaline chasing of it. And there's still meteorologists who are out there, like I said, with drones, with turtle pods, trying to get into tornadoes, because we still don't entirely understand how they form. Because you'll have storms that have wall clouds and have all this rotation, and they do nothing. And then the storm next door has a tornado in the same exact environment. So we're still trying to figure out what storms could produce tornadoes and why. That's still one of the biggest questions. And once that gets answered, you'll see a probably a decrease in some chasers, but still, just there's so much we can still learn about it. That there's a lot of research.
is asking all the people in Bill's team meteorologists. So I'm assuming that everybody that's chasing this storm, they're all meteorologists.
At this one, except for Melissa, yes. Because at this point, if you're on a college-funded storm chase research study, you have to know your stuff, and that's why I differentiate between meteorologists who are researchers and people who are taking pictures. Is most of the time you'll get the adrenaline junkies who are out just to take pictures, who don't actually have meteorological backgrounds.
And I just want to help out the stream that is getting confused. When we mention Melissa in this context, we're referring to Jamie Gertz's character in the film and not Melissa Harris in the stream.
Oh, no, yes.
Who I do not believe is a meteorologist either, probably.
Yeah. How they're like, oh, it's the best motion I've ever seen, blah, 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 blah. You'll see it. It's over half a mile wide. I mean, right there, you're looking at the entire base of the wall cloud. That right there was a wall cloud. The lowering, there's no tornado. Clearly, there's no tornado on that storm. So that kind of bugs me how they're just like, oh, it's happening. Oh, it's not. Well, you can see it. Well, I can't. It's just, it either is or isn't.
Mr. Matchstick wants a timestamp. 1 minute. 57, 55, 6. Well, hold on. Let me do that again. 58, 01, 02, 03. So 58 plus.
And once again, they're on a dirt road. You don't do that. Because and especially if you're in a caravan, this is actually one of the main reasons why, is if you're in a caravan, you get one rock that gets kicked up, you're going to get a crack in your windshield. We've broken probably 6 or 7 windshields. And there's the practical effect I mentioned about an hour ago. That's just ice in a wood chipper. Hail is not like that. It actually is
ice and ice with milk in it at a wood chipper.
Yes. Yep. Ice with milk, so that actually shows up. Hail, you get a very milky look to it because it goes up and it goes down and up and down. It's like a jawbreaker. That's exactly what hail is, just made of water. Do you guys want to know a little fun fact about hail? It's pretty great. The inside of hail sometimes, especially if you're in dairy country, is a little piece of poo, microscopic piece of poo. Because at the center of every hailstone or even every raindrop, there's cloud condensation nuclei, which is just a small piece of dirt that the water attaches to, and sometimes that is poo if there's a lot of cows.
Lovely.
Oh, that makes getting a snowflake on your tongue that much more interesting.
Yep. I always tell that to the school talks, and the kids are just like, "Oh."
There's the Coke. Okay. There's the Pepsi symbol.
And see, with that's a velocity scan. The red is incoming, green is outgoing. I believe I might have gotten those switched up. Yeah. I'm pretty sure that's a question I got wrong on an exam. But if there's a tornado, you're going to have red meet green. Like there's going to be a very distinct intersection, a little couplet, we call it. And that did not have it, clearly. So, oh, and you never go outside without a cranium cradle in hail, because you are going to get messed up. This is what he needs. There we go. Oh, that's better. Shouldn't have put that on with headphones on.
The sound effect for the tornado I heard is like a grunt of a camel on slow motion, on slowed down.
Mm-hmm. Oh, well, the sound of an actual tornado, it's creepy, but also beautiful, and it's a lot less chaotic. It's almost like a meteorological harmony to it. And this part too, if you're going into the hail and the rain, you are in the bear's cage, which is there's a reason we call it the bear's cage, because you will likely die. You're in a bad spot if you're in the bear's cage, because that's where the tornado is going to be coming. So I'm just gonna add a tally mark right now for death. 1 from hail and 1 from the tornado. And maybe a tricycle too.
Well, they missed the boat.
Yeah. There's some head damage.
Do they actually have recordings from the inside of a tornado?
Oh yeah, Tim Samaras has some. I think I'll have to find a link for you guys. If you just type in Tim Samaras Turtle Pod Inside Tornado video, it'll show you it. It's really great.
because like I said, I just got the sound engraver vibe when you were talking about the sounds inside the tornado. I was like, man, that might be something she could tap into.
And from being in 2 myself, it does sound like a freight train, and it's just the wind with the debris just interacting, making some whistling. But the coolest sound a storm can make, I think, is probably when you're standing far away from it and that inflow is going in, that wind's getting sucked into the storm. If it gets caught between some power lines and there's nothing else around, it makes this faint little whistling sound, very high pitched, and it just makes every hair stand on end. It is the coolest thing. Now, like, okay, with that part, they're like, oh, it's gone. It just completely fell apart. It wouldn't do that in seconds. It does it in minutes. It wouldn't do it in seconds.
Hey, he's got his cranium cap on.
Yeah.
The old baseball
smart
batter's helmet.
Anything worse. Honestly, I've seen people use bowls, like metal bowls. Oh no, there's still rotation in the clouds that are CGI. Like, you can't say that it's gone. This is one of the cringier scenes.
Yeah.
Is back building a thing?
Back building's a thing, but not so much with tornadoes. Like, storms can back build, where the back end is going to continue to build up and build up. Even though the storm's moving on, you're still going to get stuff over the same area. It's just getting fatter. But with tornadoes, they don't back build, they recycle. So they can go up. The storm kind of gets its act together. It's like, okay, you got to do this. You got to do this. Okay, we can do it. Let's go. Like, it has to psych itself back up. So you get a brief period, and that's how you get jumper tornadoes. If they'll touch down, they'll lift back up and jump down.
Odd question, because I always thought if they had activated the machine, even with the sensors on the ground, if the tornado went over it, wouldn't they still get data?
You would think. I mean, that does.
Yes,
the whole point is for those little balls to fly out into the storm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't get why he says the hack space. The only thing I can figure maybe is that they all need to have the same starting point so that the data is like, it's all calibrated. But honestly, you just need the lid lifted and then they fly up. It's not like you're turning on every single one of those sensors. So why does it matter?
Yeah. All right. That's what I was thinking. Just turn on the pod and, if the thing goes over it, it goes over it. If not, go back and pick up everything.
Yeah.
Or, call it a loss.
Exactly. And this is one of those scenes where every meteorologist quotes, like, you can't explain it. You can't predict it. Well, then what are you doing out there?
Yeah. Right.
Oh, man.
Okay, I got to be misogynistic for a little bit, but wet Helen Hunt is a beautiful Helen Hunt with that stringy wet hair hanging down.
Oh gosh, yeah. Well, see, and it's funny on storm chases too. Like, you will come in and you will be walking into a hotel at 10 o'clock at night, completely drenched from head to toe, just a group of 25 college students and one older professor, and they just kind of look at you like, did you just blow in from wherever? And you say yes.
Technically, yeah.
I never understood why Jamie Gertz was so upset in the scene. Bill was talking to Joe and just saying, you need to get over this. Your dad died, but it's not going to bring him back if you get killed. And now Melissa's all upset. It's like, huh?
Well, he almost professed his love for her. I mean, he still loves her, and I think she's picked up on that.
Yeah. If she's really, she is one of those, she is a sex doctor, like a therapist, so maybe she picks up on these subtle hints.
Yeah.
Now with this, they mentioned gate-to-gate shear, which is actually a term that we use for incoming winds and outgoing winds. That gate-to-gate, you add them up, and that's how much wind you get as far as like rotation goes. Also, it is on my bucket list to see a twister on a drive-in movie theater screen.
Yeah. Like as a drive-in movie lover, I love this scene. Although it ends very sadly for the drive-in theater and the screen, but and I like there was always the little tall tale that a twister actually struck a drive-in theater in Canada that was showing Twister, and a tornado struck. actually, it's almost right. I think the true story is that it did destroy a drive-in that was going to be showing Twister that night.
Yeah,
Wow.
I
But
read up on
luckily
that.
nobody was there.
I was reading up on that yesterday. That's what happened. They were going to be showing Twister that night, and the whole place was destroyed before they can even show the movie. Although a lot of accounts are trying to say that it actually happened in Oklahoma, which it didn't. That's totally fake.
Yeah, it was like Ontario, Canada, or something, or somewhere in Canada, I think.
Yeah.
Something people don't realize is that Canada gets some good tornadoes too. It just depends on if they get the moisture up far enough, because you have to have a mix of warm air, cold air, moisture, wind shear, all this stuff. She looks so mopey right there too. She's just like,
yeah, it's good that she's not going to be around much longer.
Quit trying to put romance into this. We actually have a rule. Oh, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just going to say you were talking about area. I mean, I live in Maryland, and for the longest time, I don't remember Maryland being a big center for tornadoes. But man, the last 20 years or so, we've had some nasty events. We had that. I think it was like 15 years ago or something. We had one in. It was longer than that. It might have been like 20, 25 years. In La Plata, Maryland, which was, I think, an EF5 or a high EF4. That just leveled half the county.
There was one that happened in 1955, because that was the Flint Beecher tornado that happened in Michigan that carried over to the East Coast the next day. It was really impressive.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh, let's see. Mr. Miles, besides size, is there a difference between a tornado and a dust devil? Yes, a dust devil doesn't happen because of a storm. Dust devil happens because you have different temperatures at the ground or different winds at the ground. It just makes a little spin up. Tornado only happens with a rotating thunderstorm. So one is convective, one is not. You could get a nice dust devil on a clear day, which I have, and I've core punched with a golf cart. The things I do. Do you have some cool pics you can share on Twitter or Instagram?
I can see you going through a dust devil going, I'm in the core.
Yeah, I did. It was on my grandpa's golf course that I was driving. I was like,
I know. That must have been awesome.
It was crazy. I was like 10 at the time. So awesome. But yeah, I do have some cool pictures and stuff. I'll be posting them over the next week or so on my not my personal Twitter, my professional Twitter, which is now my personal one at the same time. And you guys will see they're from my previous storm chases. So stay tuned for like the next 7 to 10 days. Weather_Katie. And I also have an Instagram. I think it's weather_Katie too. So I'll post them all over there, and you can see me almost getting struck by lightning.
One of my favorite lines in the movie is coming up.
Oh, and it is true with tornadoes. You start to get static on your TVs. That's actually a thing. The storm's interfering with the signal. It's an effect. I can't remember the name of it.
Especially on Channel 2. They said it doesn't affect digital or anything like that, but on regular the regular broadcast on Channel 2 especially, it does that.
It's a really
more IMDb.
Cool. Yeah. Oh, and this part always gets me. Like meteorologists, we do you get a sense when something's coming your way. It's weird, but you don't just stand there looking like, oh, no. You're like, show me the radar, show me this, show me that, and it would be on radar like 20 minutes before it gets to that size. There's no way. There's no reason they should have been kept off guard caught off guard. So that's another sin.
It's like actually coming. It's already
he's like,
here.
It's coming. Yeah. That's one of those lines where everyone says it at the same time when you're watching it in a room of meteorologists. Let's see.
It's already here. My favorite line.
It's
man, they were also going to show Psycho.
Yeah. Oh,
Shining and Psycho.
And then this idiot crawls under his dash. It's like, what is wrong with you?
And the thing is, he's a meteorologist. He knows the worst place to be in a tornado is your car.
The reason that they were playing Psycho and The Shining was because two different movie companies worked on this, and so they both had their movies represented at the drive-in.
Product placement.
The guy that hit under his dash in the car is one of the meteorologists. He would have known better.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, he wouldn't. You don't freeze like that. if it happens, you know where the safest spot is. You want to live, you go there.
And a brilliant scene choice for this to happen at the axe scene. It's like he's hacking up the screen.
Now they took this set sort of design. They made it into a ride at Universal Studios Orlando, Florida, and I went on it. It wasn't a ride; it was more about you watch the movie, the scene recreated, and then they drop the floor. I'm pretty sure you can find like a POV video on YouTube of it, but it was pretty cool. It's no longer there. Yeah, he would have known better.
That's why I said he would have known better. He was one of the meteorologists. Yeah, it's like everyone get in the pit.
At least they got that part right. You want to get to the lowest level.
See, this is when I think it would be good to be a hobbit. You live underground. It just goes over top of you.
Oh, Melissa, I'm so glad the stream is fun. I'm having a blast. Hopefully you guys are too. Oh, yes, and that part, the glass, like those guys were looking, it hit them in the eye. They would be hurting right now.
Well, the other thing is, why were they standing? I would have been crouched down like that from the beginning.
Yeah, and I wouldn't be looking. I would not be looking up. I would have my arm over my eyes, just as I would say, and make myself as small as possible. But that's not really possible at all. Well,
yeah. Well, and also, wouldn't the tornado have passed by now? Most tornadoes, they move quite well at a relatively decent pace, at least around 15, 30, 50 miles an hour, right around that range. I'm pretty sure it would have been way gone past them by now. Oh, this part. My mom can't watch this part because of the way he gets hit in the head.
Ooh.
I don't know. Would that count as a death?
Well, I think you could survive that if you got hit right.
Low.
Yeah, it depends on the velocity too. We don't know for sure how fast.
Now, if it was Xena's chakram, that'd be a whole different story because the top of his head would have flown right off.
Ooh, Julie has a good question. Why doesn't the tornado suck them out of the pit? Well, really, it's mostly at this point because it's not close enough. It's not going directly over them. And with tornadoes, the winds are moving kind of like a saucer. When you wash a dish, it's moving on a horizontal scale. And so it's mostly blowing over the top of them. And so it wouldn't really suck them out. That's the thing with like tornadoes. Most people think it's kind of like a straw sucking things up, but it's more of a whipping motion with some elevation as the warm air rises. It's not quite as strong of a vacuum sense. And Bob, bird of prey, 50 mile an hour tornado. Well, actually winds get up to like 300 plus, but that's just like the speed at which it goes, which you probably were meaning, but I wanted to clarify. But I think some tornadoes, they could move as fast as cars. That's why we say don't even try to outrun a tornado because it could be going faster than you.
Not unless you have a muscle car.
Yeah, you got your Ferrari and you're going 130.
Yeah.
This part bugs me because there's clearly there would be a debris ball on radar. We can see it on Doppler radar when there's debris. There would have been a couplet. They would have seen all these meteorological factors telling them there's a tornado on the ground. Even if it's at night, you don't have to have visual to know there's a tornado. They would have had warning way before then.
And she's watching a Judy Garland movie.
Yes. I want one of these days, because I'm an avid crafter and maker. I'm going to make one of those tornado structures when I have a house.
Yeah, I loved your sonic screwdriver holder. That was awesome.
Oh, thanks. I'm finally getting a saw so I can make more of them.
You taking my suggestion. Good.
Yes. Yep. No,
with
your suggestion, I'm going to get a scroll saw, actually. I found it at work. And I was like, I'm going to buy a saw.
Tight little thing. And I'm thinking, because you said you did it with a 1/4-inch chisel. I'm like, did you like dig it out? Mm-hmm. Is it like all one piece?
Mm-hmm.
Because that's beautiful work. Because that looks smooth inside. I thought you had cut it out and then like scrolled the stuff and then glued it on or something.
I wish I had.
Man, because I'm impressed. I'm even more impressed by that method.
Oh, I have blisters all over my hand. I had Band-Aids on all week at work. I was pointing at the green screen and you could just see Band-Aids.
You need to get little green Band-Aids and like go, ooh.
My fingers are gone.
My fingers are gone.
It looks to hit Wakita head on. Yeah, that's when they all realize, okay, we don't care about our lives, but you hurt our steak making Aunt Meg. It's over.
Yeah.
And also, yeah, so their cars, you saw their cars being blown over and tipped over during that tornado, and now they're just perfectly fine. And all of the Dorothy equipment, all 4 of them are fine. No,
2.
They're not.
Because 2 of them got destroyed already, remember? They got 2 left.
Oh, but 2 of them, still, they're not wrecked.
Yeah.
You'd think that they were wrecked.
Katie, I don't know if you can speak to this, but Joseph Petrick is asking, are brick houses more resilient than wooden ones? I assume for the purposes of protecting you from a tornado.
Yeah. Well, it depends on how well it's constructed. Construction methods vary greatly. That's why with prefabricated homes or mobile homes, you see them with more amounts of destruction than with actual like hard brick and mortar homes. But there's also kind of a catch-22 with that. If you have a brick house and the winds are strong enough, it's going to topple that on top of you, and many people get crushed in tornadoes. So with light tornadoes, definitely brick and mortar probably safer. But at some point, it just doesn't matter.
I would still say this should be a lesson that people learned when they read Three Little Pigs.
There you go.
Straw, not as good as wood, not as good as brick.
Oh, let's see.
And so I would imagine if it's bad enough to topple a brick house, it probably doesn't really matter what kind of house you were living in.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's why we always say it's safest to just stay. Some tornadoes, they're so strong, the only way you will survive other than dumb luck is to be underground.
Yeah.
Oh, this part
That's
also.
This part. A hobbit home.
Yeah, there you go. Where it's the population 585. I say that's pushing it for the town of Waukeeta. I gotta see how many people live there now because it is not 585.
And just because it was set up so well, Auntie Meg, it's a twister,
Exactly. Let's see.
Do a little airplane homage.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Waukeeta has a population of 326. That's way smaller. Also, you do not drive through damage
it
like
may
that.
Be more now.
I like that little call back to her family.
Oh, yeah. She's just staring without blinking at all.
Well, it's even like the family, for lack of a better phrasing, size. The tall, skinny dad, the larger mom, the little girl, blonde little girl. Because her mom was heavy set, her dad was tall and lean.
Sounds like my mom and dad. Sounds like my grandfather and grandma too. I like as the house could go any second. I think the house is gone there, Bill. I like how it got really quiet all of a sudden. As we were like concerned for Aunt Meg.
There, my Wi-Fi just came back, so we're good. Whew.
Back into it again?
Huh?
Did someone back into your justice again?
I could not believe that. I was so mad. No, I guess it's just general craziness. I pulled a PJ. Yeah, you're right, DJ. Yeah, they would have so many flat tires right there. You just can't drive through debris. You never know when there's wires down. That's why we never, on storm chases, we never go and drive through towns. We just stick with the storms. It's because 1, our professor doesn't want us to see that, and 2, there's too many hazards.
Also, it's amazing how clear those roads were that they were able to drive down.
They just have a snowplow in the middle of Oklahoma that clears everything out. Man, could you imagine modern TVs? That would fall on you. You'd just be like, whatever, shrug it off. But those things.
Yeah.
That was a brick.
I do like the fact that they are showing that this house is
Yeah, I just got a new TV a few weeks ago, and my cousin, bless his heart, went and got it for me and put it in. He picked that thing up like it was nothing, the flat screen. And last time I did anything like that was when it was this 36-inch behemoth. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Now are you? There we go.
I like the fact that they show how structurally unsound the house is, so that as they're going through it, you get the impression that, yeah, this is way dangerous.
Like that, how nice you all came over.
And they had one shot at destroying this. So they had to get all the shots right.
Mm-hmm.
And my third favorite line in the movie is coming up.
Just gotta go save the dog. Always the dog. Never a cat, you see. Cat would have been out of the house and in the basement.
Yeah.
That's right, Radar. Oh, he's asleep. How can you sleep during Twister? You're a weather cat.
I'm going to drive myself. Your car's in a tree around the corner. Oh, my favorite line. That's my third favorite line in this movie.
That's a great one. Yep. Just.
And there goes the rest of the house.
But thank heavens the dog's okay.
I just hope the freezer full of meat is fine.
Oh, it better be, because there's still a lot of cow left if she had hers.
Mm-hmm.
No, they call it an they called it an F4. Damage assessment crews wouldn't have been out until like a day later, especially in like a historic outbreak like this. It could have been 2 or 3 days later, so you wouldn't have known the strength of it for a while.
So the strength of that one would have been like an F4?
That one looks like an EF or an F4, yeah, because there were still structures that were semi-standing, and you also see the debris on the ground pretty much in piles where the houses were. With an F5, they sweep it off, so you only see cement. There's a tornado that happened, I believe it was 2005 or 2007. Oh, I should know this. Bad Katie. But it happened in Greensburg, Kansas. And if any of you have driven there or are driving through Kansas, you'll notice that there's a road that goes through town. On one side of the town, there's a brand new, gorgeous town, because 97% or so of it was destroyed by an EF5. The other half is just cement slabs, because the tornado just came, took up all the debris, and just wiped it clean. And so that's how you really tell a telltale sign of an EF5 is that there's nothing left. EF4, you can tell there was something there. 5, nah.
So it goes by percentage.
So it's like almost like it's pulverized, right? Pretty much.
Yeah, pretty much. Like the tornado just takes everything with it, and you find it 10 or 20 miles down the road, like her car.
So
only their houses.
Is it percentage of damage done, not dollar value, right?
Right. Yeah, not dollar value.
Okay.
It's just like the amount of damage. With a EF0, you might have some shingle damage. When you go up to like an EF3, that's when you're going to start to see your cars moving. You're going to see roofs torn off of houses, walls missing. And then EF5, there's just nothing.
Gotcha.
And then the damage assessment for costs come up, and you're just like, oh boy.
Yeah.
And
well, I heard once that there was a tornado that had been classified as one thing so close to the next, but then like they later found more damage that literally tipped it up to the next scale. Like,
oh yeah, that happens all the time.
Sometime later, yeah.
Yep, and let's see, Aunt Meg is Helen Hunt's.
Yeah.
Aunt.
Yeah.
I said, here's
you can see. You just see the look in their faces, just kind of like the
ding. Light bulbs all above their heads.
How the heck are you going to find so many Pepsi cans in a town that was just destroyed? There's no way.
It didn't hit the convenience store?
Yeah, exactly. Come on, guys. It's all a gas station 2 miles
back. Find the recyclers.
Plus, at this point, they've been up for around 24 hours, because now the sun's coming up. So it's been around 24 hours, and they keep going all through that day too. So, I mean, you get loopy, man. Like, storm chasing does stuff to you, especially when you don't sleep. So they wouldn't be safe to drive, in my opinion, especially if they drank all that Pepsi. Ooh.
Look at all that Pepsi. I hear you say no Coke, nothing else, all Pepsi.
And the guy with a concussion driving, that always bugged me too. Mr. Miles, how long until we have a weather control system like in Star Trek? I'm really hoping we get that soon because I would have a tornado in my backyard 100% of the time.
Oh,
I'd be the party house.
Just a little tornado always there. Whee!
That's how I would market my house.
But the other problem is then you'd be out of business.
Good point. Also, no, that's not how that happened.
Right.
They just went from nice day to tornado.
I gotta say it's like sunny and then boom, a monstrous tornado.
And none of them would be standing up in a moving car like that if there was a wedge right next to them. It's just no. And you wouldn't be stopping either. You would have set that crap up like hours beforehand. That is just shoddy workmanship. I don't care if you have to attach Pepsi to it. Oh, it's just no.
It's like you're spilling some.
Yeah, you're gonna let that research money go to waste on the side of a road.
Well,
I should mention
how many they've lost.
Yeah, true. I have the Twister script. I should be following along with that, but I have the actual script.
Wow.
That's how big of a nerd I am for this. I want to go back through and like do rewrites, make a fan fiction. Like, okay, well, we're gonna change this. We're gonna be talking about the geostrophic winds and the geopotential height and the QG high tendency equation and all this stuff that no one cares.
Twister, the Katie cut.
Oh. I see now. You know what my weekend plans are.
Or you could just write Twister 2, The Tornado's Revenge.
Well, they were going to film make Twister 2, but I believe I have to remember it right. I think the Moore, Oklahoma 1999 tornado hit, and they just thought it would be no one would go see it. It would be too soon, too bad taste. And then we started having year after year of EF5s, which now would be the time to do it because we haven't had an EF5 tornado in 2,200 and some odd days. The last one was in, I believe, Moore, Oklahoma in 2013. So it's been 7 years, and I probably just jinxed us. Yeah, no, okay. So they drop it off. You also can't put it in the road. Yeah, well, you can't put it in the road because other chasers might have to go by and stuff. That's just being a bit mean.
One of the things he said or she said is, "Won't someone hit it?" He goes, "No one will be there."
Yeah, nah. You never know if there's some fool coming in trying to get out. And also, you would run. You don't just stand there because tornadoes, especially large ones, become more erratic in their motion, just because of how massive they are. So it could come and get you like nothing. Also, did that just hit like the National Forest of Kansas? How are there so many trees? See, it still would have worked though because you still have the sensors. There's still in the same place.
Tree that went by earlier.
So
also, with it going back and forth, it looked like a astromech didn't know where to go.
Yeah. Oh, jeez. And you see completely sunny skies, not even clouds behind them in a couple of the shots. You can have sunshine while it's a tornado, but you have clouds in there too. Those are clouds that are being pulled into the storm. You never have purely sunny sky behind a supercell. There's other clouds that are trying to form. That always bugs me.
That's not a 4x4?
Yes! And yes! It's a truck! You have front and back wheel drive. I mean, that thing's moving slow. And with large tornadoes like this, you will see small satellite tornadoes popping up outside of the actual main circulation. And that's what actually killed Tim Samaras, the researcher from earlier, is a satellite tornado popped up and got him.
The oil company that is printed on the side of the that truck there is the company that the people from the movie Abyss worked for.
Aw.
Oh, cool.
Little tie-in.
Are you watching Twister, bud? Are you enjoying Twister? Oh, there's another time where they're dead because they're in the fire for, I think, 7 seconds. Not even a Jeep can protect you from that. Or is it out?
Well, just the temperature of the air that you're breathing would sear the inside of your lungs.
And the fact that the windows had been open, but of course now when you see them, they're closed.
Ooh, good catch. I've never caught that one before.
Because remember, they're both looking out to record, and then they just jumped back in and started driving. They never put the windows up.
Yep. This is what we do, Katie. We pick apart movies.
I love it. I absolutely love it. Because once you pick apart all the nitty-gritty details, then you can just rewatch it again and just accept it.
You just have fun. And thank you. You just accept it. That's why I try to get some of these guys thinking about it. It's like, just accept what's going on. Just roll with it.
Well, and many times we'll point out, this is a problem, but from a movie making standpoint, you totally understand why they did what they did, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Now, see, in the lead car, the quote unquote bad guys, I don't like the passenger guy who's the leader, but I felt so bad for the driver because it's like he really wasn't a jerk like the leader was.
And at certain points, he kind of looks like Mr. Bean a little bit. Yeah. And the thing is like, they wouldn't have gotten that close. In this entire movie, the thing that's the least believable is them getting that close to a tornado, even to put something in the tornado. You set that up a mile, 2 miles, 3 miles ahead of it, just hoping that it takes that track. You'd never risk your life for it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I wouldn't. There might be a couple people who would, but...
And like I say, you would never be so arrogant as to not take the advice of someone who's got a pretty good view of the thing.
Yeah. I mean, you could not be on that road. You would be flipped. Just the winds outside the tornado that you can't even see would knock your car straight into a field. Yeah. And with the weather, with driving with storms and storm chasing, the driver is the most important person because if they aren't comfortable, they have that ability to call it off. Mm. I just, it always bugs me that the guy doesn't say, no. Yeet.
And they're about to be dead.
Yeah, this is always a gruesome way to go.
Ooh, Joseph asked a question, could a direct explosion dissipate a tornado? Actually, a lot of people think that, if you do a nuke or a large enough thing, it could. No. The size of a storm, it has the power of 5 atomic bombs. A supercell thunderstorm does. No explosions.
Because you think about it, Jonas is probably still conscious.
For sure. So now he has a buddy who's just spurting blood everywhere, and he's just watching.
Actually, his buddy's probably only half a body sitting next to him.
Oh gosh.
That did seem like adding insult to injury. It's not enough you're about to die, but we're gonna harpoon you first, then we're gonna kill you.
Mother Nature wanted you to know you screwed up.
Yeah, you are so dead because you were driving this jerk around.
They're headed northeast.
What the old commercial? You can't fool Mother Nature or something like that.
Yeah, honestly, we joke if the weather's not doing enough. Actually, on a storm chase last year, I got a little cap gun, and it wasn't doing anything, so I shot it up in the sky. I was like, "Come on, do something." Shouldn't probably poke that bear. But Lisa asked, they're heading northeast. Didn't you say most tornadoes head northeast? Most of them, yes. Some of them they can head in any direction, but the general storm is north to northeast to east. Just the way it generally moves. Look at this part. Okay, so it smashes the windshield. Joe's dead. She is so dead. If that tractor part, okay, adding another tally mark.
Yeah, but if you look at her windshield,
and the window's back again.
Yeah.
And now you have a house that still has its windows intact after rolling for heaven knows how long.
That's the kind of thing I was talking about. That makes about as much sense as, Dorothy's house lifting up and flying away to Oz,
Well,
and they
enter on the first floor. They go up a set of stairs and they exit on the first floor. There's a continuity problem there.
Yeah.
That little teddy bear that hits the windshield. Yeah. CGI.
Of course.
Yeah, they put that in CGI.
Oh my gosh. That's a waste of money.
I know. It's like, really?
Because it was a detail they just had to have in there, I guess.
Yeah, take the teddy bear out, throw some clouds in the sky.
Oh my gosh.
Come on, push all your buttons.
See you, DJ. Thanks for tuning in. Now those clouds right there, that's just flat gray sky. Those are stratus clouds. They're not with supercell thunderstorms. You're going to see low hanging scud, like low wispy clouds, bubbly action. It's not just going to be a flat blanket of clouds.
The other thing I take exception to is when Joe reached out the back to turn on Dorothy, she flipped like 1 or 2 switches, whereas when Bill did it the first time, he flipped on like 9 different switches all over the place.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Maybe they found the error of their ways after 5 minutes and thought, oh wait, we'll just only need.
It does seem like the kind of thing you'd want to simplify. You could tie them all into one switch, you know?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Helen Hunt got hurt in the scene.
Really?
When she was trying to open the door, the corn kept pushing the door shut and it closed in on her. And so for when this part, they actually wedged the door open so it wouldn't close.
I was gonna say, I'd wedge it open just to begin with.
And actually both Helen Hunt and Bill Paxton were blinded in a I forget what scene it was, but they were both blinded by some bright lights that had to happen during the filming. And they ended up having to wear special glasses in order to recuperate.
That's right, retina burns.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Like as you said,
I think it was,
go.
I think it's because they had to get the lighting inside the truck to match the outside, and they had to have really bright light inside, and it screwed up their retinas. Yeah.
Jeez. Yeah, and
that's why you want to insure that truck.
Yes. You just, hi, I drove my car into a tornado. You what?
Yeah, I am liable for its damage. Therefore, liability should cover it.
There you go.
There you go.
Give me my new truck.
What you say is obviously someone wouldn't drive into a tornado on purpose.
They never think about that, so they never write it into the clauses. Actually, I just got car insurance on my own for the first time. And they know I'm a meteorologist and they know I'm a storm chaser. And so they're like, yeah, this will cover any hail damage. Like, okay, thank you for underlining that.
Yeah, they started salivating when they started hearing that. Tap, 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 tap,
yeah.
add this in.
Just an umbrella cover. Oh, running through a cornfield. I don't know if you guys have ever run through a cornfield. That stuff hurts.
Yeah,
like you are going to be sliced to bits.
Yeah, those leaves are sharp.
Ooh, Julie, good question. Would they be dead if they were that close to the tornado? They'd be windswept and potentially swept away, but they wouldn't be necessarily dead because that tornado hasn't hit anything just yet, anything major. Once you start to see it picking up the fence posts and the barn and it has debris, certainly being that close, they'd be impaled. I mean, the horses, they'd be impaled too. I'm gonna add maybe like 2 tally marks for this scene because they should definitely be dead. The front post, they're just getting sucked up. You see it just flying towards them. You could easily get hit.
And the horses are like, we're out of here.
Yeah.
I just feel like the horses would have been smart enough to get out of there long before now.
Oh, they are. Animals know this stuff. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that part, I mean, getting a door open is just hard enough. But a barn door that's really tall, there's no way they would have gotten that open. Yeah.
I love when they look around the room.
Who are these people?
Let's go hide in the barn with all the sharp implements.
Yeah, if you see one of them having a chainsaw and a skin mask, I think you have your answer.
Yeah. You just walked into a whole nother movie.
I think we got the idea for our sequel.
Yep.
Oh.
The Twister Chainsaw Massacre.
Twister Chainsaw Massacre.
Oh my god.
Oh, like the Bill Paxton, come on. It's like, where are you going to go?
Yeah.
Actually,
no.
Melissa Harris has an excellent point. Doesn't this farm have a storm shelter that they could have run into? That's the first
yes,
thing
they do actually.
They
do.
You
see them at the end.
Yep. No. Oh, there's another. I'm going to put that as a decapitation. As the barn wall flies towards them.
Right.
Oh, look. Sunflowers.
Oh, that one would have. Yeah.
Yep. Oh, dead. And then the thing that gets me is that they look over and they decide to go uphill to get to a little shack. You want to be in the lowest level. You never go up. It's just no.
You see how everything else has been torn apart. Why do they think this little shack's gonna?
Because it's the only thing left. It's the only possibility right now.
Oh, look at that! A bathroom stall door lock also on this. Because no other doors exist. And see, what also bothers me is they're meteorologists. They know if you're caught above ground after it just hit that sharp instrument barn, you will be cut to pieces. They know better than that. They should lift up the grating on the floor and fall down into the hole.
Which would make sense. But what gets me to go
You have a better chance of surviving a 30-foot fall.
How does he know those pipes go down 30 feet?
Well, because it's tapping into the well. So I mean, he understands the lead pipes and how they're structured. But yeah, the problem isn't being swept away at this point. The problem is being torn apart.
Yeah. No,
they're in a wood chipper right now, basically.
Yes, exactly.
And it's firing right at them.
And with actual tornadoes, with large tornadoes like that, they have issues. What was it? There was a tornado. It was so bad that it was just body parts, and they had to you had to put on special stuff because it was just a biohazard.
Yeah, they would have been sliced up.
Yeah,
completely.
And even if they survive this, you have dirt that is being impaled into your pores, and that happened, I believe, after the Joplin tornado, where people started to get dead rot and fungus and stuff in their skin because the dirt was just impaled and driven into them. Now, this one with a central, you usually have 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 different little mini vortices within the parent tornado, little suction spots. You wouldn't just have like one little baby tornado, a gap, like an eye wall, and then the largest one. It doesn't quite work like that.
I love that word, vortices. It just sounds cool.
It does, doesn't it? And I hate how it just stops. It's just like, we're done.
And it's a nice, beautiful, sunny day.
And it's a bright, beautiful, sunny day before the debris even lands.
Yeah,
exactly.
Melissa Harris said, can animals survive getting sucked in a tornado?
Oh, yeah, people can survive. There's the Moore, Oklahoma, 1999. I've mentioned it a couple times. It's a really great tornado to study. There's a baby that was sucked up called the Mud Baby.
And
she was
found.
Yeah, I heard about that. Yeah.
And she was sucked up by the tornado, thrown a couple miles, and landed perfectly. And a police officer found her after the tornado covered in mud, and she was perfectly fine. I think she's probably around my age now. Totally survived. And the horses running past, family coming out of the storm shelter. Happy ending all in all.
Yeah. The storm shelter that they could have used.
Yeah.
Shine on, shine. Sorry. A little early.
Oh, Into the Storm. I did see that. I saw it in movies, and I ruined it for everyone in the theater because I just started gasping and yelling, no, when that movie had a bad problem. That movie's worse than Twister.
What's funny is it goes, it didn't take the house. And right at that moment, I expected the whole house just go, poof.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what me and my friends were like that. Anytime we saw a movie that dealt with the medieval topic, we're like tearing apart the armor and the outfits and the weapons. Like, that weapon wouldn't have been there. That's 200 years away.
Yeah, Professor Geek doesn't like to watch historical films with me.
Oh, yeah. I love that. Also, do you notice they don't even have a scratch? They couldn't even grab a red Crayola marker.
Right. Just put a few gashes. Yeah.
I get hurt just
we get wet. Yeah, and once again we get wet Helen Hunt. Which
there
is always
you go.
a pleasure.
Nice.
Yeah, they got
finish out the movie.
Dirt smudges on them though, so
Well, they were wearing their special armor, plot armor.
Oh my god!
They made their saving throws.
Right. There's a lot of saving throws they made.
He really got over Melissa quick.
Well,
yeah.
This was the better choice. Let's face it.
True. Very true. And also, just the destruction of corn to get this shot. It's just so sad.
Yeah. All that popcorn just gone.
Or
in fairness, feed, whatever.
90%. I would be willing to place a wager that it was all feed corn anyway.
Oh my God, Kathleen Kennedy was involved in this film.
Of course.
And Michael Crichton.
That's what balances it out. Michael Crichton was involved, so that's why it was
And
still
Steven
good.
Spielberg.
Yeah, anything that Spielberg did, she had to get the coffee.
It's pretty. This is by far one of my favorite movies. Even though for the past hour and 54 minutes, just kind of been ripping it apart.
Look at that path of destruction, though.
Yeah,
I mean, wow.
I like it because they got that part right, where you see more areas where it's just dirt, where there's some corn left and it's a little wobbly. That's what it actually looks like.
Yep.
It's the finger of God.
Yes.
But
Well,
yeah,
that was awesome,
I love
guys.
this film. I love this film too. There's like a handful of films that I can watch over and over, or pick up at any time that I come across it and just watch the rest of it. And this is one of them. There's just very high rewatchability for me.
Julie,
This
I'd say there should have been sharks.
Apollo 13's one.
There should have been sharks.
I'll tell you what, if you guys ever want to do a Sharknado rewatch, I'm in.
Well, if we ever do a Sharknado rewatch, Evelyn Hampton is definitely in. She's been after us to do a Sharknado rewatch for
I love Sharknado.
Over a year now. Yeah. I've never watched the movie, but I just
You've never seen Sharknado?
It gets
with
never
the wonderful
better
Ian
than
Ziering,
one.
with the wonderful Ian
shark movie
Ziering
I've ever
and his
seen is
chainsaw of
Jaws.
death.
Oh, it's so good. It's so, I mean, they in the first one, they're actually kind of trying to make it a serious movie. Then they realize we hit a vein with millennials. Let's make this as big as we can. And by Sharknado 4, when you have the nuclear NATO and the boulder NATO, and
I like the one where somehow the tornado reaches into space. And there's
Oh my
sharks in
gosh.
space floating around. I'm like, this is awesome.
yes. Oh,
And
that film.
one of my favorite little in jokes on Big Bang Theory, when Will Wheaton says, "Hey, I got a part in the next Sharknado movie," and then he actually is in the Sharknado movie.
Oh my gosh. I mean, they had Nichelle Nichols, like, good heavens.
Yeah.
This big film.
I mean, Hasselhoff.
Oh.
I mean, they had people begging to be in that movie.
the shtick of the
Oh my
movie
God.
became
Yeah.
more about
Yeah, it was,
what stars they could get in cameo roles than it was about the movie itself at all.
and
Oh,
and
right.
how and in the ways they would die, because they
Yes.
wanted to be eaten by a shark.
It's great. You could get so many people.
But
Oh,
I
well,
did
thanks
I did want
Thanks
to
for joining me, Joseph.
comment to Evelyn. She was surprised that Michael Crichton wrote this. Yeah, when he originally wrote it, though, I'm forgetting the character's name. Helen Hunt's character's
Joe.
Yeah, right, Joe.
Joe.
Joe's father doesn't actually die. That was
Mhm.
a change they made for the script because Hollywood.
They added it for the emotional.
It's a very Disney move
play.
right there. Kill off one of the parents.
Oh, I thought you were saying a very Disney move to make change for change's sake, because that's
Oh, no.
what Disney does these days. Someone said that I guess was it Disney? I think that got the rights to Schoolhouse Rock and is going to start streaming it. And I'm like, okay, let's see how they edit that now.
Ooh, that could be bad. Oh no. Just
But
leave it alone.
right, but
Yeah, I mean, I can halfway understand the Daryl Hannah's butt being wiped out a little bit, but still, come on, it's just a butt.
no, I think that's just a sin. But
Oh, let me double check now, see if the tornadoes are nearby.
oh yeah,
Nope, they're
what's the
still. Yeah. They're over near Pierre, South Dakota, so not quite here yet. Probably going to be a nocturnal event. Hooray!
We
But
made it.
that's in keeping with what you were thinking. You were thinking that, a 9 o'clock start would have been bad because that's when you were. I mean, so man, think about this. I mean, I just want to say to the stream, think about the difference between this film that was talking about not being able to predict more than a half hour in advance, and what Katie's talking about, where she kind of knew down to the approximate hour she might have to be looking at tornadoes days in advance.
Mhm.
I mean, it was Thursday. It was Thursday that you said,
Yeah.
can we make it earlier? because you were expecting to have to go chasing after tornadoes, and sure enough, the weather's holding.
It's incredible how far we've come just from the 90s or even the 2000s now, because you have dual pole Doppler radar, you have GOES 17, you have all these fancy terminology things. But I mean, it's just incredible. I can't imagine going back to there's a great tornado. If any of you guys are history buffs, look up the Tinker Air Force Base. It had 2 tornadoes hit back-to-back days. The first day, they didn't worry about tornadoes. The second day, they called in the meteorologists and were like, okay, tell us when there's going to be a tornado. And they said, today. And they were all safe, and they got everything into the hangar. And that started off modern meteorology. And that's what literally kicked off tornado warnings and tornado studies. And ever since the 50s and 60s, that's when it's really taken off.
Wow.
Man, imagine that, though, like, you're fine. It's like 2 days in a row. It's like, really? It's like,
there's a town. Oh, what's it called? It's like Creighton, I want to say, or Creighton, Canton, Kansas, or Oklahoma, or something. There's a town, and it got hit by a tornado. I believe it was May 20th, 1917, May 20th, 1918, and May 20th, 1919. Same town, 3 years in a row. It's a ghost town. They left after 3 years in a row.
I'm thinking May 20th of 1920 would have been an interesting day to be in that town.
Oh, you just have all the meteorology buffs just like, I
hear you say, like then, they were smart enough to like, pack up and leave. Today, you would have about 500,000 people going, is it going to happen?
Oh, yeah.
And they'd be standing there and suddenly all of them would be like flying around.
Oh, that would be brilliant. Yeah, it's interesting how tornadoes work.
Yeah. I mean, like, I've always been fascinated by tornadoes, weather of any kind, and because when I was working as a paraeducator, I always loved sitting in on the earth science classes when they would start talking about weather patterns and all that kind of stuff.
Well, I think at a basic level, everyone's a little interested in the weather. I mean, it's one of those, how's the weather? Throwaway jokes. But genuinely, it's a part of everyday life. And when people say to me, oh, I'm scared of tornadoes, I'm scared of this, I'm like, study it. You won't be. There's no reason anyone should die in tornadoes nowadays. Like, we can forecast them 10, 15, 20 minutes out. It's okay. The more you know, the better you are. And I think I've at least gotten 2 or 3 people into weather, hopefully. So maybe even tonight, maybe some more people will pick up a weather book from their local library. That's how I started.
Yeah, I love storms. I love that. Yeah. Thunder and all that. I love that.
And the great thing is anyone can be a storm spotter. Just like look up your National Weather Service in your town or your state. You can get a storm spotter training class. It's a 1-day class. And they tell you, okay, here's our phone number. If you're staying at home, that's why you're a storm spotter, not a storm chaser. You're staying in place, but you see hail, like golf ball sized hail. You call it in and you report. You go down in the government books as a weather reporter, and you help them with important stuff. So
sweet.
Anyone can be a weather spotter. And that's what I hopefully get kids into as well. When I do school talks, I'm like, guys, do this. Here's a class. It's easy. It tells you about clouds.
Yeah, all the local weather stations will have like the little places like middle schools and stuff where the kids learn about it. Plus, the information is going to the news station, like what it is in that town. How much rain they got, and
exactly.
Different. They are different spotters down here for. Whatever channel is on. They'll have people that'll call in and say we got X amount of rain, or we got the winds were this strong, or
and those
something
are
like that.
Invaluable data points. You guys have no idea how hard it is to say, okay, here's the rain totals. No one's told us what they are, so we only have 2, and then everyone gets kind of mad. It's like, no, please, I don't have data. Like, send in data. Even if you think it's just trash, like my garden rain gauge says this, it counts.
Yeah, it's like Arnie Williams on Family Guy. It's going to rain. And that's about all you know. It's going to rain.
Exactly. Oh my gosh, it's so true. Some days feel like that. They genuinely do. But oh my gosh, I wanted to take a second. Thank everyone who's been watching with us. Everyone in the comments. Oh my gosh, you have Saki's one, Mr. Matchstick still here, Lisa Kelly, Mr. Miles, you have Evelyn Hampton, you have Melissa Harris. My heavens, you guys are fantastic. Oh my gosh. We have Joseph Petrick. We have Julie Whitefeather. We have, Lady Q. You guys are just incredible. I love you guys.
Like that thumbs up yet? Make sure you hit that thumbs up.
Yes, please do. And check out these guys' channels. There we go.
Big Al presents. Big Al presents.
Yes. Oh my gosh. No, you guys, your channels are incredible. You guys are super supportive of everything that I do with Orville Nation and now my channel. And oh my gosh, I just love you guys. You guys are keeping me sane during quarantine. Let's put it that way.
And if there's anything we need to be during quarantine, it's sane.
Yeah.
Well, the fan appreciation is mutual because I love what is the Wednesday night or what Wednesday show called?
Wednesday.
Women Power Wednesday. Which guys
occasionally happens on Tuesday or Thursday.
Awesome. Yeah. Kind of aim for Wednesday, kind of sometimes hit Tuesday or Thursday.
Yeah,
thank you guys.
Just like a woman.
Oh, jeez. Thanks, Al.
It is PJ who organizes it. Oh,
well, yeah.
Awesome.
Well, I'll tell you what you guys do is PJ too. What you guys do is incredible. I mean, when you juggle all those days, all those people, all those streams, that's pretty. All those fandoms.
Yeah. So many of them.
Yes,
I know,
there's
right?
So many fandoms.
Oh man, no, but I'm trying. I'm hopefully, because we did a Doctor Who thing a while back. I'm hoping to maybe do that episode right. I know I mentioned it. It's been a while, but I'm hoping to get a bunch of people on and maybe write our own Doctor Who episode, do some Star Trek stuff, Good Omen stuff, anything, honestly. So if you guys like any kind of fandom, feel free to like my channel and subscribe. Yeah. And yeah, that's the first time I ever said subscribe, and now it feels weird. But yeah, no, guys, check it out. And if you have any questions or anything at all, if you just want to say hi, let me know.
Yeah.
But I think I've kept you guys for 2 hours already. Holy cow, this was awesome.
That's a rewatch for you.
I love it. Thank you guys for inviting me to do this. And thanks for coming on and doing it.
Oh,
absolutely.
So
thanks for having us.
Awesome. And Bob, I'll definitely try and think about a Futurama fandom forecast. If you guys have any fandom forecasts you want me to do, send me a message on Twitter @weather_Katie. If you guys want to plug your social medias real quick.
I got a real easy one for you, a Snowpiercer. If you've ever seen Snowpiercer.
That would actually probably be a pretty straightforward weather.
Pretty straightforward. Like, it's negative 114 and, wherever. And like everywhere is like negative 112, negative 110.
I could probably fudge the data and do that.
Just have a big park and you just see your face.
Well, if you guys want to subscribe to me, you can find me by name. It's Troy Pacelli. My other don't have any content there, but I'm working on it. I'm working on but you can go and subscribe to the Klingon Cleric. Just look me up on YouTube, and I'll be putting out a bunch. I am planning in the very near future a whole bunch of Star Trek, specifically Klingon related content.
Yes.
I also have a channel with no content yet, but I have 4 times subscribers. So hey, keep subscribing. Eventually, I'll have content up. My channel is actually going to be a mixture of showing people things that you should know how to do, but maybe don't know how to do because either you've never seen it or no one's ever taught you, and doing like some product reviews and that sort of thing. So, I know it'll probably expand from there, but that's how it's going to start off.
And my channel's Big Al Presents. Right now, a lot of a few rewatches a month. Every now and then, I just pop up in an afternoon for what I call an afternoon with Al, which is just me chatting with whatever the chat wants to talk about. I also appear on Professor Geek's channels, office hours when he has a book. We're currently doing the book study. Thursday night, we're doing The Last Command. We're in the middle of that. And I'm also on Twitter @big_Alboski and on Instagram @BigAlboski1, I think.
Awesome.
Something like that.
The Instagram gets a little fuzzy too. Yeah.
Yeah, you start to like, what was I again? Yeah, something like that.
Exactly.
If you do it and you scroll my pictures, if you see a picture of Bubo from Clash of the Titans, you're at the right place. because that's the next rewatch
Awesome.
the next rewatch I'm hosting is the 20th, and that's going to be Clash of the Titans. The classic.
Nice.
Oh, Lisa Kelly, my
Awesome.
channel name is just my name. Just look up Nanette Pacelli on YouTube. You'll find me. Or I think I named it Simple, but it should be under my name.
You should call it the Netter Network.
Oh, I like that.
Yes. Take
I
it.
like that.
And
apparently, Mr. Matchstick is doing an Akira rewatch next Sunday.
Akira.
Oh yes, watching
Akira.
Akira on the 31st at 10 o'clock on his channel. We'll be watching it. It'll be my first time watching it, so I'm looking forward to it.
Awesome.
I did find out. I think it's the original 19. Was it 9? I don't know what year it was, but it's Akira.
Akira, cool, awesome. Well, I think on that note, coming up on the 2 hour and 10-minute mark.
Right.
Good heavens, I love it. I think we'll call it a night. Thank you for everyone who watched, everyone who participated. You guys are great, and hopefully, I don't know, maybe we'll do a Sharknado one in the future. Who knows?
Sounds great.
All right. Good night, everyone. Bye.
Take care.
Night. Thanks for
Good
coming.
night.
If it'll click the button, will it click the end button?